For nearly a century, one currency has ruled the world. It built empires without armies and toppled rivals without firing a shot. But now, in factories, ports, and boardrooms far from Washington, a quiet rebellion is underway. You can see it here, in the city of Camaçari, Brazil. For decades, this was home to one of Ford's largest car plants outside the United States. It was a symbol of American industrial reach, until 2021, when Ford shut it down. For a year, the factory sat silent, 4 million square feet of idle machinery, rusting under the tropical sun. Then, a Chinese automaker stepped in. BYD bought the site, modernized it, and now rolls out thousands of electric cars every month. Not from Detroit, but from Brazil's northeast coast. This is more than a business deal. It's a glimpse into a shift that can reshape global power. A shift driven by an alliance called BRICS. BRICS began as 4 nations: Brazil, Russia, India, China. Named in 2001 by a Goldman Sachs economist who predicted they'd become the engines of 21st century growth. In 2009, their leaders met in Russia for the first BRICS summit. South Africa joined a year later, making it BRICS. Since then, the group has grown in ambition and in size. By 2024, 4 new members had joined. In 2025, Indonesia came aboard. Today, BRICS Plus counts 10 countries, from the oil fields of the Middle East to the farmlands of South America. The numbers are striking. By purchasing power parity, BRICS has already overtaken the G7 in global GDP. With the expanded group, they now account for close to 40% of the world economy and over 45% of its population. But numbers alone don't tell the story. The goal is nothing less than to challenge the post-Cold War world order, a system in which the US dollar is the default currency for trade, finance, and reserves. Here's why that matters. In 1944, at Bretton Woods, world leaders tied their currencies to the dollar and the dollar to gold. Even after the gold link was cut in 1971, the dollar stayed king. Oil was sold in dollars. Global reserves were held in dollars. Debt was borrowed in dollars. That dominance gave Washington extraordinary leverage and the power to cut adversaries off from the world economy. But that power has created resentment. When the U.S. and Europe sanctioned Russia after 2022, Moscow turned to its BRICS partners. Trade among the original 5 members jumped 40% in just 3 years, and more of it was done in local currencies, especially China's yuan, bypassing the dollar entirely. Today, over a third of Russia's trade is with China alone. For Beijing, BRICS is a strategic tool. It's the biggest economy in the group, and it uses BRICS to secure resources, expand trade, and increase political influence across the global south. For Brazil, it's a way to diversify partnerships, exporting soybeans, beef, and iron ore to China, while importing machinery and increasingly electric vehicles. For Russia, it's a lifeline. And for smaller members, it's a seat at a table where the West doesn't set the rules. Some leaders have floated the idea of a shared BRICS currency, backed by golden commodities. They say it would shield them from dollar-based sanctions and reduce Western dominance. Critics say it's unlikely. The political and economic differences are too great. BRICS is not a trade bloc like the EU. It has no common tariff policy, no shared parliament, no single market. India and China have tense borders. Brazil doesn't want to pick sides. And without trust, a shared currency is almost impossible. Yet, BRICS has built institutions of its own. The new development bank funds infrastructure across the global south, offering loans without the political conditions of the World Bank. It's still small, but it's growing. The question is, can this loose coalition turn its economic weight into real geopolitical power? History says no empire or currency lasts forever. The British pound once ruled global trade until 2 world wars handed the crown to the dollar. The difference this time is speed and scale. If the dollar falls, it could happen in years, not decades. A sudden shift away from the dollar could shake global markets. Bond values could collapse,
U.S. interest rates could spike. In emerging economies, inflation could spiral if the transition is chaotic. The stakes are enormous. If BRICS succeeds, we could enter a new multipolar era where the dollar is just one of several global currencies. If it fails, the dollar remains king, but its crown will never sit quite as firmly again. This is more than a currency story. It's the story of a world deciding whether to keep its old ruler or take a gamble on something new.